Example 1a. Solve the equation by factoring x squared plus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. As our notes indicate, to solve by factoring, we follow 4 steps. Step number 1, write the equation in standard form. Step number 2, factor the quadratic equation completely. Step number 3, apply the zero product property. Step number 4, solve for the variable. So let's go ahead and start with step 1, write the equation in standard form. Luckily, x squared plus 5x plus 6 equal to 0 is standard form. Moving on to step number 2, factor the quadratic equation completely. We have factored before, so we will apply the same factoring methods to factor this trinomial. So I will go ahead and follow the fill in the blank method. We have parentheses blank plus blank times parentheses blank times blank equal to 0, and I will fill in the blanks. Let's go ahead and start with x squared. What gives me x squared? X times x. Next, let's go with the number 6. So we need two numbers that will multiply to give me 6, but when added will give me a 5. If we analyze our options, those numbers would be 2 and 3. When you multiply 2 times 3, you get 6, and when you add 2 with 3, you get 5. Therefore, if we factor our trinomial, we will have x plus 2 times x plus 3 equal to 0. Now that we have completed step 2, we go to step 3. Apply the zero product property. If we have a product of two things and they're equal to 0, that only happens if and only if one or the other is equal to 0. How does that translate to this problem? We could take our x plus 2 factor and set it equal to 0, and we could take our x plus 3 factor and set it equal to 0. And now step number 4, solve for the variable. So how do we solve for the variable in the first one? Subtract 2 on both sides. How do we solve for the variable in the second one? Subtract 3 on both sides. And we have solved for our variable. Therefore, x is equal to negative 2, or x is equal to negative 3. Keep in mind, you could also check your work on these problems. How do we check our work? We could take these x values, substitute them into our equation, and they should give us 0. Example 1, part B. Solve the equation by factoring x squared minus 7x plus 6 equal to 0. So step number 1, write the equation in standard form. X squared minus 7x plus 6 equal to 0 is standard form. Step number 2, factor the quadratic equation completely. So again, I will fill in the blanks. So parentheses blank plus blank times parentheses blank plus blank equal to 0. So we will start with our first term, x squared. To get x squared, we need x times x. And now we look at the 6. So we need two numbers that if we multiply them together will give us 6. But at the same time, when we add them together, we get negative 7. If we analyze our options, I believe the numbers that will work will be negative 6 and negative 1. Negative 6 times negative 1 will be a positive 6, and negative 6 plus a negative 1 will be negative 7. Therefore, our factors will be x minus 6 times x minus 1 equal to 0. Now we move on to our third step where we apply the zero product property. Therefore, x minus 6 is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0. And now we go with our fourth step where we solve for the variable. So we add 6 on both sides to solve for x. We add 1 on both sides to solve for x. Therefore, we have x equal to 6 or x equal to 1.